Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our coverage of the ongoing fighting taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia. Today, specifically, we are looking at a fairly new aggressive operation by the Tigray Defense Forces. We had talked about in prior videos where we were seeing a certain amount of fighting taking place in areas such as Bala, and we had seen Afar regional forces crossing into the Tigray region, conducting raids, and really just trying to attempt to cause mayhem inside of the Tigray region. So within the last 24-48 hours, we have seen several thousand, up to 5,000 members of the Tigray Defense Forces, by estimate, crossing into the Afar region and attacking several targets, to include rapidly seizing control of the town of Abala. Tigray Defense Forces enveloped Abala from both the north and the south, enveloped it, and then attacked and seized control of the town of Abala, destroying several Afar regional militia units that were operating out of Abala. And that operation continues as we speak. Furthermore, we saw another operation further to the north, in which Tigray Defense Forces rapidly made a move towards this town here, Berhale, and did not actually seize control of the town. What they have done is seized roadways to the north and to the south of Berhale, and are attempting to prevent the movement of Afar regional forces operating from Berhale south towards the town of Abala. So basically, they've severed any sort of movement capacity of Afar regional forces moving from the north down towards Abala, and at the same time have launched operations to attack and destroy Afar regional militia unit encampments in the Afar region. That operation appears to have been fairly successful. While we are receiving reports that Berhale was attacked initially by the TDF, it would appear that within the general environments of Berhale, there's a rather strong resistance by Afar regional militias. But again, we don't know as of yet if, in fact, the seizure of Berhale was an intended objective, whereas it looks to be the severing of roadways proceeding from the south of Berhale may have been, in fact, a key objective, to include some of the very rugged terrain that can be utilized as overwatch positions of Afar regional forces moving along these roadways south towards the bigger town of Abala. But we do know that most of the forces were utilized to seize control of Abala. We know we have seen some tit-for-tat operations ongoing, and especially we've seen the Afar regional militia forces recently even crossing into the Tigray region and attempting to move towards Mekelle in some sort of a probing operation, at times supported by the Abiy loyalist formations utilizing drones and even strike aircraft. These forces could have been being utilized, meaning the Afar regional militia forces could have been utilized to enter the Tigray region, identify and locate encampments of the Tigray Defense Forces that are located in the eastern Tigray region. And then those forces of the Afar regional militia forces were then utilized to identify those targets, where then the Abiy loyalist Air Force would come in with Su-27s or MiG-23s and drop bombs, or possible use of drone attacks as well. But again, that is the current information coming out of the Afar region. It would appear that Afar regional forces are now appealing to the Abiy loyalist forces, the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, headquartered in Addis Ababa, also known as Finfine. But again, those forces in Addis Ababa are really focused right now. The Abiy loyalist forces, the federal police forces, and even fixed wing drone assets and fixed wing strike aircraft are being utilized to pummel Oromo towns and villages in the western Oromia region. So again, the federal forces, the Abiy loyalist forces, right now have their hands full with the Oromo Liberation Army in both north and northwestern and western Oromia. That operation is incredibly vicious and ongoing. We're seeing fairly significant casualties on both sides as the Oromo Liberation Army continues to strike back at Abiy loyalist formations and encampments in the western area of operation just to the west of Addis Ababa. And again, large areas of the Oromo region are currently under the control of the Oromo Liberation Army. So many of these towns that you can see here on the map located in western Oromia are in fact currently under the control of the Oromo Liberation Army. In fact, many roads and vital arteries throughout the Oromia region are also under the control of the Oromo Liberation Army. It is very, very difficult for the Abiy loyalist formations, those federal forces, the federal police forces, to operate, especially on highways and roadways just to the west of Addis Ababa, out of fear of being ambushed by significant forces of the OLA. In fact, it is not uncommon for the Abiy loyalist formations to not allow the movement of forces unless it is a interdispersed multi-company formation where one company can support another company in case of ambush. So anything less than a company, the ENDF has to operate in either a reinforced company, multi-company sized formations in the roadways in the western Oromo region out of fear of ambush by the Oromo Liberation Army. But again, a lot of those assets are now of the ENDF are being utilized against the Oromo Liberation Army in western Oromia. But again, we're continuing to watch this operation take place by the Tigray Defense Force in the Afar region. We do not believe this is a concerted effort to seize large chunks of territory. We believe this is, again, is a punitive operation designed to enter and destroy these Afar regional forces that have entered the Tigray region and harried TDF forces and have allowed the use of airstrikes being to then be called in by these Afar regional forces in eastern Tigray. Right now, most of the TDF combat power would appear to be positioning itself again for a quite possible very large-scale operation in the western Tigray region. We know that, again, as we've reported before, that TDF units are continuing to cross into western Tigray. And again, that operation we're seeing now in the Afar region really looks designed to destroy any sort of threats that could rise up while this larger operation taking place in western Tigray is ongoing. So again, not a huge operation in terms of manpower, just a few thousand troops crossing into the Afar region, seizing control of Abala, and destroying multiple encampments of Afar regional militia forces. But again, that operation appears to be successful at all entry points by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Heavy fighting took place near Abala. Those forces of the Afar regional militias were destroyed in Abala, and currently the TDF is in control of Abala. There was also stifling resistance near Berhale. We do not know if actually Berhale was an intended target to be seized by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Again, it is a very small town, but again, possibly the destruction of the bridge just to the northeast of Brahale, and the seizing of overlooking hills and mountains, looking over some of these major roadways to conduct overwatch operations to detect the movement of Afar regional militias and possibly operational forces of the Eritrean Army and or the Ethiopian National Defense Forces as well. So this was appeared to have been a fairly successful operation by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, in which these targets in the Afar region were engaged, enveloped, and destroyed for the most part. One more thing, we also understand that at one point the Tigrayan Defense Forces had moved as far as this town here, conducting, again, overwatch operations, and I think the objective was to destroy this key bridge here as well. Unsure if that actually occurred, but we know the TDF actually had moved towards this town. Galala is, if I'm saying that right, probably not. Please forgive me. Anyway, that is the news in terms of what is happening in the Afar region. Continuing to watch both the fighting in the Oromo region, the Oromia region, and further operations that could be taking place in Western Tigray as well. So again, more to come. Watching things very closely. Have a good day, everybody.